Hi, my name is Dylan Zeller, and this is going to be for my homework for Software Engineering 311. So the first thing says to show the model view controller. So here I have the controller for my model view controller, which holds the model and a calculator view. So that's the model and the view in the model view controller. Then you can see I have a model that holds the state as instructed by the professor, and then the view has all of the UI stuff. So within the controller, we have 4 types of listeners, right? So each one has a different like purpose. So the operand listener will fire off every time that an operand button on the UI is hit. You can see the UI here, very simple. The operator listener will do the same for an operator. The clear listener will do it for the clear button, and the equals listener will do it for the equals button. Each of them will add a component to the model based on when that event is received. You can see in the view where all of the buttons are created, and then in the controller there's a setup set calculator view that will set the view of the controller to the current view, and then it will add all the listeners, and each of these listeners has the correct value that is supposed to be added to the state when the button is clicked. The next part is the composite pattern. I have this equation component class that has to be serializable in order to send over the network, and then that is implemented as an operand, which holds just a number, and also an operator, right? And the operator is meant to have 2 other equation components, which will be the 2 operands for that equation component. One of these components can be another operator, which will then hold 2 more equation components. And that's where the composite comes in, because it forms a tree out of this. Briefly, we'll visit the server side where we implement the visitor pattern. So you can hear we have an interface for the visitor. I can visit operators and operands. And then we have 3 types of visitors because I did the extra credit. So the first one is the calculator visitor, right? So this will calculate the result of an equation by passing it an operator or an operand. Then you have a string visitor, which will turn, it will do the same thing. It will visit the element for operand and operator, and it'll turn the string or the equation into a string that's printable in the form like 3 plus 2 equals 5. And then the tree visitor is the extra credit portion, where it will actually create a tree as a string and then return it, or save it and then it can be accessed later. I will go back to the client side where we're going to look at the states, right? So we have a calculator state interface that has a few methods in order to get the next state, to return the equation, to check if it's printable, and to give the print equation if need be. Then we can go to the first state, which is start state. This is very empty state. It's in accordance with the requirements. All the states in my project are in accordance with the requirements that were given in the homework assignment. So then first operand state is where it would go next. You would be able to get the next state, and it'll return the next state based on the input. The next one would be next operand state. And then, so what this would do is just return the correct state based on the input. Get second operand state, we'll also do the same thing. This is the next operand state we've already gone over. So error state. Error state is found when the wrong input is created, and then um, this method will ask the user whether they want to discard or reset, and will it'll perform the right task. Calculate state is the state that we will calculate the results, and it'll also send a message to the server and store the equation. Not within the state that's done by the controller. While we're right here, this number checker just has a static check that I didn't want to implement in multiple places, so I created it here. Look at the UML for the client side. It is a little large and confusing. So here we have the driver. Here we have the driver, which creates the controller and the view, and then we'll pair them together. And then the controller, as the name implies, is the controller for the entire project. It creates these listeners, right? The equals, clear, operator, and operand listeners. It also is composed of a model and a view. Then we have the states, which this calculator model, it's composed of one state, and this state will change based on the other states. That's why there's a lot of dependencies here, because each state has the possibility of creating other states based on the input that was given. And these are all implementations of a generic calculator state. Operator here is implemented by the state, so it's a dependency for all the different states. Number checker is just a static class, and it has one isDigit method that is a static method to check if something was a digit. It's something I didn't want to implement in a lot of places, so I just made a method. Then here the visitor is in the client side, because the operand and operator need to know what a visitor is in order to be able to accept them on the server side. So that's the structure. Here quickly is the server UML. It's a little less complicated. So there's a driver that creates a server, and the server will create a thread that runs this user input side. So that's if you want to do the want to ask for the number of equations or to list all the equations, that runs in its own thread. And then the requests has its own class, and that's the part where it'll take input or take a connection via network. Right, in my project, it's only on localhost 8080. But the visitor is the main part of this. So the visitor has three types of visitors. This one's for the extra credit. So they each implement the visit elements, and then one other helper function to get their task done. And equation component is a part of an operator and operand. So, and also user input. When user input is quit, there's a quit option. It actually will also quit the request after the next input. So if you send an equation after you quit the user input, the entire server will shut down. I thought that was a good way to gracefully end the server. We have a component diagram where there's a client component and a server component, and the server has connection with only the controller, but the controller has connections within the client to both the model and the view. It's pretty simple. I'm going to go over each of these conditions. I'm going to quickly start the server, and I will also start the calculator. Okay, so now that we have both started, we can make this a little smaller. Let's open the requirements. Alright, so let's start at the top. It right now is initialized or reset. So the user clicks 3 plus 5 equals and displays 8. 3 plus 5 equals 8. Great, so let's do a reset. equation looks 33 plus 55 equals 88. 33 plus 55 equals 88. Wonderful. Okay, so the user clicks 4 plus 5 times at this point it should display 9, then clicks 6 equals 54. So 4 plus 5, 4 plus 5, and then click star, and it will say 9 times 6 equals 54. Cool. So if it's clear, so now it's reset. So user clicks a non-digit button, it remains the same. Okay. Any state, user clicks C, so if we have 9 times 6, clear. It will always go back. A non-digit button is clicked. The user clicks a non-digit button other than C. Yep. So now we can work on this requirement, C6. Non-digit button is clicked. The user clicks a non-digit button other than C. So let's do 8 times, and then we try times again. Oh, an error state is found. So we will say discard. If we go back here, now we should be able to say 9 equals 72. So it recovers pretty well. We can do it again. Let's do 8 minus. Okay, now we want to reset, and the calculator will be reset. A previous calculation was successful, and the result was displayed. User clicks a digit and non-digit. Okay, so we can do 5 times 8 is 40. So if the user clicks a digit, 1, it'll do the next calculation. Now, if we do like a times, it'll reset. So the next requirement, whenever a math calculation is successfully conducted, that is the equals button is clicked, the client will send a message to the server and record a successful math equation such as 3 plus 5 plus 8 equals 16. You can see this with the fourth requirement, which is the server should be able to display 1, the total number of all successful math equations, and the list of the equations. Okay, so let's put a couple in. Let's do 7 plus 5 times 6, enter. Then we do 6 times 6 minus 5, enter. And we'll do 3 plus 3 plus 3, enter. Okay, so we got a couple of math equations in there. There were some other ones. So if we go to the server and we want to pick 1, it will say, oh, we have 9 equations. And 2, we can list all of the equations here. Also, for the extra credit, I'll show this, the trees.txt, which is the output file for the trees. We can see that the trees are created, so 7 plus 9 is 63. 7 times 9 is 63, sorry. 6 to 9 is 6, right? We get a little more complicated. 4 plus 5 times 6. And even go down to some of these like 3 plus 3 plus 3, or 6 times 6 minus 5. And so the trees are successfully created. So I hope that was helpful, and I think I got through all of these points here. So thank you very much. Hope it's pretty easy to grade.